Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to everyone tuning in from across the US and, well, all around the world. Today we have an absolutely fascinating explainer lined up for you. We are going to completely deconstruct the architecture of one of the most successful corporate empires in human history. We're talking about Microsoft. We're going to look at exactly how they built this massive empire, transforming from a scrappy little garage startup into an absolute foundational pillar of modern human life. We'll trace the aggressive maneuvers, the brilliant strategic pivots, and the inescapable ecosystem they managed to design. So, let's get right to it.
Seriously, how do you own the world's computers? I mean, just pause and think about the sheer mind-boggling scale of that global ecosystem for a second. We're talking about billions of devices spanning homes, schools, and Fortune 500 companies all across the country, all speaking the exact same digital language. But, to truly understand how anyone achieves this level of planetary scale, we have to slingshot all the way back to their incredibly humble beginnings. Because you don't just wake up and conquer the world overnight, right? You do it one carefully calculated layer at a time.
Section 1. Laying the OS foundation. Securing the home base.
Look, before you can build an empire, you absolutely have to secure a foundational layer. Back in the 1980s, the real garage days of tech, computing was just totally fragmented. The hardware was getting there, sure, but the user experience? It was a mess. But Microsoft, they realized something crucial. Whoever controlled the operating system, the literal brain of the computer, controlled the entire user experience. So by the 1990s, through some seriously aggressive and rapid strategic maneuvers, they secured that OS layer. They effectively solved the biggest computing gap of the era. And by the 2000s? Well, this wasn't just success anymore. It was total, undeniable computing dominance. They wrote the rules of engagement for the entire industry.
Owning the foundational layer of computing. The strategic brilliance of this just cannot be overstated. I mean, think about it. There is a very, very high probability that you are watching this explainer right now on a device that relies on that exact same foundation. By owning the base layer, they didn't just sell you a product, they literally became the gatekeepers to the digital world. Anyone else who wanted to build software simply had to build it on top of their territory.
Moving to Section 2, expanding into productivity software, highly profitable lands.
Now, what's really interesting here is how they use that dominance. With the operating system secured as their undisputed home base, Microsoft just marched their forces right into adjacent territories. And they didn't just compete, they completely devoured the rest of the competition in the productivity software space. Think about word processors, spreadsheets, presentation software. These were once fiercely competitive markets with dozens of different players. But because Microsoft controlled the operating system underneath it all, they had a massive structural advantage. They could seamlessly bundle and optimize their own productivity tools better than anyone else.
Capturing that secondary market wasn't just a stroke of luck. Actually, it was practically a mathematical inevitability. Once you convinced users to adopt your operating system, offering them this perfectly integrated suite of Office tools was just a frictionless, seamless upsell. They didn't just want to run your computer anymore, they wanted to own every single hour you spent working on it.
Section 3. Conquering the enterprise market. Hello, corporate America.
Now, owning personal computing is incredible, for sure. But true sustainable wealth, that lies in targeting corporate America and expanding your reach into the very backbone of global business. Their strategy here was just an incredibly clear three-step playbook. Step 1, secure the OS. Step 2, control the productivity apps. Step 3, lock in the enterprise ecosystem. Executing this required ruthless efficiency. They'd walk into businesses and offer a package deal that IT departments simply couldn't refuse. Everything worked together, everything was supported by one vendor, and everything was beautifully unified.
And let me tell you, the lock-in tactics here were aggressive. We're talking about strict enterprise licensing, deep enterprise-grade security integration, and centralized IT management tools. Microsoft essentially made it so that ripping out their software would completely paralyze a company's operations. They effectively made their software the default language of American business. If you wanted to share a document, crunch some financial numbers, or even just send a simple email in a corporate setting, you were doing it inside their ecosystem. No exceptions.
An inescapable global ecosystem. Just let the reality of this massive, everyday monopoly sink in for a minute. It is almost invisible to us because it is just so ubiquitous. From the exact moment you boot up your computer at a desk in New York all the way to a server farm out in California, this ecosystem is silently running the modern economy. It's honestly an incredible feat of empire building.
Section 4. The massive cloud pivot, a dramatic turnaround.
And this brilliantly illustrates a massive moment of tension for the company. Seemingly out of nowhere, the empire was suddenly threatened. We're talking the rise of smartphones, mobile technology, and these incredibly agile cloud-native competitors. The scale of the turnaround required here was just massive. You see, the old Microsoft was selling boxed software on physical store shelves. It was completely tethered to a desktop computer. The new Microsoft had to become subscription-based, highly agile, and exist everywhere simultaneously through the cloud. Honestly, changing a company of this massive size from a box product model to a dynamic cloud computing model, it's literally like trying to turn a heavily armored battleship on a dime.
Pivoting to stay relevant wasn't just some neat strategic option. The stakes here were genuinely a matter of survival. If they had stubbornly clung to the old desktop era, they would have faced an inevitable, agonizingly slow collapse. Instead, they completely overhauled their internal culture and their product delivery. They fully embraced the cloud, allowing businesses to just rent computing power and software over the internet. This pivot didn't just save the empire, it effectively modernized the whole thing, paving the way for absolutely unprecedented revenue growth.
Section 5. The next tech frontier. Looking to the horizon.
You know, a modernized empire can never just sit back and rest on its laurels. It constantly has to be looking at the horizon to see what new territories need conquering next. Right now, their strategy rests heavily on cementing global cloud dominance and, of course, aggressively pursuing AI integration. By weaving artificial intelligence into every single layer of their existing ecosystem, from the operating system right up to their enterprise apps, they are ensuring that their users never ever have a reason to leave. It just goes to show that the relentless empire-building mindset that started in a tiny garage in the 1980s, it is still fully active today. They are actively defining the next era of computing as we speak.
Which leaves us with one final fascinating question. Will the empire stand forever or face a new challenger? We've seen exactly how they built the foundation, cornered the market, locked in the enterprise, and brilliantly pivoted to the cloud. But technology moves at breakneck speed. As we dive headfirst into the age of advanced artificial intelligence and decentralized tech, you really have to wonder, is there a new challenger currently sitting in a garage somewhere ready to rewrite the rules all over again? Definitely something to think about next time you boot up your computer. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember, always keep questioning the system.